Okay, so get ready, because today we're diving into some seriously cool, kind of spooky stuff. We're talking Norse myths, real historical climate chaos, and a potential link that'll make you see those ancient legends in a whole new light.
Yeah, this one's a bit of a thriller, not gonna lie. When I first came across this research, it definitely sent shivers down my spine. Let's just say the line between myth and reality gets a little, well, blurry.
Okay, so to set the stage, we got to go back in time. Way, way back. We're talking 6th century AD. And instead of digging through dusty old ruins, we're looking at, get this, tree rings.
And not just any tree rings. We're talking about ancient oak trees in Denmark. These silent giants have been standing watch for centuries, and their rings hold secrets, like actual historical data.
It's like nature's own time capsule, right?
Yeah, exactly. Each ring represents a year of growth, and the size, the density of the wood, it all tells a story about the environmental conditions of that year.
And what's wild is that in the rings dating back to the years 539 to 541 AD, scientists found something really strange. It's subtle, but it's huge. These rings are suddenly thinner, way thinner, almost like the trees just stopped growing for a few years. And that's a massive red flag because it hints at a sudden, drastic shift in climate. We're talking extreme cold, darkness, you name it.
Now, we've known for a while about some massive volcanic eruptions that happened around the same time, one in Mellemamerika, another in Iceland, and these weren't your average volcanic burps. These were colossal events that spewed ash and gases into the atmosphere, enough to, well, basically put the planet in a kind of mini ice age.
Okay, hold up. Volcanoes on opposite sides of the world erupting around the same time, causing a global deep freeze. Am I the only one getting serious fimbulvinter vibes here? I mean, the Norse myths about wolves devouring the sun, plunging the world into darkness, it all starts to feel a little too real, right?
Right. And here's the thing. We know for a fact that all that volcanic ash would have blocked out the sun, causing what we call a volcanic winter. Temperatures would plummeted, crops would have failed. It would have been devastating for, well, pretty much everyone on the planet.
And this is where this Danish study gets really interesting, especially for our deep dive today.
Yeah.
Because while we've known about this global volcanic winter, what's new is the evidence that Scandinavia was hit especially hard.
And that's the key here. This study is giving us the first really solid evidence that Scandinavia was right there in the thick of it, experiencing the full brunt of this volcanic winter.
And when you think about what life was like back then in 6th century Denmark, it really starts to hit home how catastrophic this would have been.
Absolutely. We're talking about a time when people were completely reliant on the land, 100% self-sufficient farmers. Their entire existence depended on the success of their crops, the rhythm of the seasons, a 3-year volcanic winter. That's not just a bad harvest, that's a potential societal collapse in the making.
Okay, wait, hold on a sec. I need to process this. I complain when it rains for a week straight. Imagine years of darkness and famine. It just blows my mind.
Seriously, it's hard to even fathom just how brutal this would have been for these folks. Sun's gone, crops are failing, livestock are dropping like flies. It's like something straight out of a nightmare.
Right. And just keep circling back to those Norse myths for me.
Yeah.
That whole idea of fimbulvinter, this endless winter that basically sets the stage for Ragnarok. The parallels are kind of hard to ignore, don't you think?
Totally. I mean, imagine trying to explain this all-consuming darkness, this seemingly endless winter, without any scientific understanding of what a volcano even is. It makes sense that people would try to find meaning, explanations, even in myths and legends.
It's like, okay, the sun's been eaten by a giant wolf. Yeah. Makes sense.
Exactly. It's the ultimate storytelling prompt, right? A way to grapple with this terrifying, unexplainable event. And it gets even more interesting when you factor in some of the archaeological discoveries from that time period, specifically those super elaborate gold artifacts found throughout Scandinavia.
Oh, you mean like the golden horns of Galahus? That insane Vindalev treasure? Okay, yeah. For anyone who hasn't geeked out on ancient gold work, these finds are incredible.
Or mind-blowing. We're talking like intricately crafted golden horns fit for a king, but instead of being shown off, they're found buried in a bog.
Which is weird, right? You wouldn't just go burying your most prized possessions for no reason.
Right. It makes you wonder. What if those weren't just random burials? What if these were offerings, acts of desperation in response to this cataclysmic volcanic winter? Like, hey, gods, we're really sorry. Please bring back the sun. Have some shiny stuff.
And we're not talking about like spare change here. These were their most valuable artifacts.
Yeah.
That says a lot about how desperate they must have been.
Totally. These weren't just material sacrifices. They were expressions of like deep, deep fear, a desperate plea to restore balance to the world. And I think it speaks volumes about the power of these kinds of events, these natural disasters, to shake not just our physical world, but our entire belief systems.
It's like this echo, this ripple effect that extends far beyond the actual event. And that, I think, is what's so fascinating about this whole thing. It's not just about some ancient weather event. It's about how trauma, even on a societal level, can embed itself in our collective memory, in the stories we tell.
It really makes you think, like what other stories, what other beliefs from history might have their roots in some real life event, something we haven't even begun to uncover.
Whoa, okay, yeah, that's kind of blowing my mind right now. It's like we get so caught up in thinking about the past as like this fixed thing, but it's more like we're constantly uncovering new layers, new perspectives. It's like this never-ending detective story, but instead of clues, we're finding stories.
Right. And it just goes to show history isn't just dates and names in a textbook. It's about people grappling with the unknown, trying to make sense of a world they didn't always understand.
Okay, so before we get too lost in the mists of time here, I do want to bring it back to us. Here in the 21st century, I mean, we've got weather apps now, right? We don't exactly need to worry about fimbulvinter striking out of nowhere.
True, true. We've definitely got a leg up on our ancestors when it comes to, like, understanding how the natural world works. But even still, I think this whole Ragnarok scenario is a good reminder. No matter how advanced we think we are, nature always has a way of humbling us.
Oh, for sure. And this idea that even a volcanic winter, something that seems so huge, so apocalyptic, can fade into myth over time. It makes you realize how important it is to, like, pay attention to the stories we tell about the world around us.
Yeah.
Because those stories, they shape how we understand not just the past, but the present, even the future.
Absolutely. And who knows, maybe by digging into these ancient tales, by trying to understand the hopes and feels of those who came before us, maybe we can find some wisdom, some guidance for navigating whatever challenges we might face in our own time.
That's what I love about these deep dives. It's like we start with this one little thread, this tiny clue from the past, and it unravels into this whole tapestry of like human experience, resilience, and storytelling. And on that note, I think it's time for us to resurface for now. But hey, keep exploring, keep asking those what-if questions, and who knows what other mysteries we'll uncover together. Until next time.